None of what I say here is likely going to mean anything at all to the developers of Escape from Tarkov. Suffice to say that that bridge has likely been burned. You know, we don't get invited to the party anymore, although we still get to do drop streams, so I guess that's pretty cool. You know, that's nice. I more or less have been voted off the island, and I'm okay with that. I mean, you reap the seeds that you sow, right? And I've been pretty brash and pretty abrasive over the years. You know, I kind of say what I think, and it's pissed people off, and that's okay. I don't mind. And as much as they don't want to see, hear, or listen to me anymore, I'm still here because I genuinely care about the game, and I'm not blind to things, I'm not deaf to things, and I see what goes on around the scenes. And for whatever it's worth, there are still an awful lot of people that ask me what I think about what Tarkov is doing right now. So I'm here, and I make a video about it, and we talk about it, and people can chime in and tell me whether or not they think that I'm close to the mark, or if I'm way off, or... See, because there's a gamut of people that like Escape from Tarkov at different levels. Some people are on that whole, like, after 200 hours, I've uninstalled, this game is garbage side of things. People that have gobs of experience that say that they've uninstalled. And then obviously there's all of the diehards on the other end of the spectrum that say, well, you just have to give the devs a little bit longer and it'll get fixed. I think there's a direct correlation between the amount of time that people have spent in Tarkov and how frustrated they've gotten. People with lots of experience that have seen the pathway on through from, I don't know, when I joined was right after the Shoreline expansion, and there were plenty of guys that came in before me even. I didn't get the cool alpha access armband or anything like that. I wasn't in at the early days of Kickstarter, but I have been around a long time. And I remember when things like netcode and desync and whatnot, you'd end up getting a hard stutter every minute for about 2 seconds. That made the game nearly unplayable, but an awful lot of people struggled through it and figured it out. Now, a lot of that stuff has obviously gone by the way of the dodo, and we don't really see those massive stuttering issues that much anymore for anybody that's on, I don't know, even relatively newer gen hardware. But if you compare that to the longer standing problems that have been around kind of since the game's inception, you start to develop a pattern where it seems as though you have an awful lot of good artistic ingenuity and artistic integrity, and you have an awful lot of immersive feeling gunplay, but that is mixed in with people that feel as though they're a little bit lacking on the side of mechanics. Netcode performance to be among the primary concerns, and secondarily to that, if not the primary concern, 1A would be cheating. Compound that with years-long issues with the audio engine, where even now still there are problems associated with the same old stairwells, doorways that make it so hearing people in a certain direction, a certain way, or hearing things that you shouldn't be able to is still plaguing the game after now 5 years. Or 2-year-old bugs where you're able to clip through the map and find yourself located inside of the mesh just based on a route that you took that we know has been reported to BSG as of a couple of years ago, and now through an even expansion of Lighthouse that still hasn't been remedied. Or long-standing running hit registration bugs that have been around since the earliest days of the game. Like this clip from Pestily, for instance, that looks like it's just a typical run-of-the-mill day on customs.
I'm not a player. They're not a
God.
minion. Yeah, I swear to God, I shot that scav in the head then.
All right. Hey, you see how right about in here it looks like the scav got a hit in the face with a couple of charcoal briquettes, like right in the forehead on his Ushanka there? Yeah, those are the decals left behind by 2 M62 rounds, 308 rounds, hitting him in the forehead. Unfortunately, this isn't unique. He should have been dead on the first one. On the second one, you can actually hear him yelp, and he's still walking at old Pestily here. So that's a problem. That's a problem.
To come back only to find that the hit registration problems are just as bad as they've always been, offering up what would be near a half a dozen clips on Twitter that he just kind of kept posting in succession, showing that this is not a unique instance. And if someone can pull this after a day or two worth of streaming time just to show how illustrative of a problem this is from one person's perspective in 1 or 2 sessions of gaming, you can be sure that this is going to be seen throughout the community as a whole. And if you want to call BS on this, by all means, go ahead. I mean, hey, it's a free country, I would assume, wherever it is that you guys are watching from. But if the godfather of Tarkov isn't somebody that you can trust with the information that they're doling out, then who can you trust? Certainly not the developers that say everything is fine, or everything is working according to plan, or the netcode is the best it's ever been. But I want to take a step back real quick. But if you notice, the issues that I'm talking about have nothing to do with whether or not artists are working on art. or whether or not the guys mechanically associated with making that rigging work right with hand animations and stuff and getting that stuff perfect have anything to do with netcode performance or anti-cheat. They don't. And I wouldn't want to cost someone else their job to force them to work on a team when they don't have any passion or any understanding of what it is that they're supposed to be working on. After all, I wouldn't want Bob Ross to come to my house to help me, fix my sink. Bob Ross is a painter, not a plumber. And also, none of what I have to say about this stuff has anything to do with design direction changes. Now, granted, there are design direction issues that I have taken with BSG in the past. I was never one of those people that really complained about the weight system until the beginning of this patch where I was like, this seems like it's a little excessive. At the same time, I was never really one to complain about the recoil system until after Veritas ended up shining a bright shining light on that to show that the recoil problems were not really realistic, and that the issues that we have with Tarkov, the frustrations that we find, are in the lack of repeatedly fun and engaging gunplay. Of course, then BSG tends to act as though they listen, they reduce the recoil, and then they ratchet it all back up again, if only then to nerf it back down, or buff it, I guess, back down another 15%, if only then to likely end up ratcheting it back up again. At the same time that they do this, they end up pulling back on high pen ammunition, which I'm actually okay with. And the point here is that I'm kind of okay with the design decisions that they make as long as they seem as though they're well thought out. The design decisions that they are making, I think, are in the best interest of the player base. I think that it makes sense from a balancing standpoint if you step back and take an objective look at it. My problems don't have anything to do with directorial changes. My problems have everything to do with mechanical defects and bugs that have plagued the game since the beginning. We're going on 5 and 6 years worth of the same recurring problems between the audio engine, the netcode, and the hit registration issues. And I believe that's where the frustration lies in the number of people that have decided that they're not going to play Tarkov as much anymore lately. Guys like myself, Fab, Lupo.
There's no point. The game is quite literally in one of the worst states I think I've ever seen it in.
Best state it's ever been.
They have there is no way for them to resolve the problems without completely rebuilding it from the ground up. So
hey, maybe they could use Unreal.
At this point, I'm done.
Ames, Deadly Slob, Willers has even started taking breaks now and again. Trey 24K plays DayZ half of the time that he spends streaming now, just to get away from it, to save your mental health. I mean, hell, in the last 2 months alone, I think I've played over a dozen games. A lot of times I spend it playing Minecraft, talking about how I can't wait to get into Batty's hole. And if you haven't seen that, I'm just saying, stop by the stream sometime. But I also don't want to make it sound like this is some giant startling revelation either. It's not. If you take a look at a website like Sully Gnome, which aggregates all things related to Twitch and statistics, to viewer statistics especially, you can search out Escape from Tarkov as a game on the platform being played and viewed by other viewers, and you can see that there are spikes in time, over 6 months ago, and then from the beginning of this past wipe, let's say. So if we go back about 6 months from today, you can see that the viewership was about the same 6 months ago as it is now. With all the people leaving, coming back, deciding that they're not going to stream Tarkov, there's new people that come in and stream Tarkov all the time. Unfortunately, of course, some of those people end up being cheaters and they get caught, but they don't get caught until they're level 71, which is an even bigger issue. Because even now, we have retail cheats that seem like they're running rampant enough to where guys that are streaming, partnered streamers, are streaming this game full time and finally, yes, getting caught. But how long did it take until they finally got caught and detected? How long had those people been doing this? You got people that have been saying that they've been getting tracksuit 3 and 4 times over several iterations of the wipe and then finally being banned. So this still now, obviously, is still a major, major problem. And make no mistake, BSG also, I don't believe, is publishing all of the names of people that they ban in these ban waves. And if you've also noticed lately, it seems as though that those ban wave reports have started slowing. Because when it comes to getting caught with your pants down, like BSG kind of has lately, it's an awfully easy thing to be reactive as opposed to proactive. Being proactive speaks an awful lot more in volumes than it does reactive behavior like we've seen as of late. And while, of course, BSG will show us a timeline, or a pseudo timeline because there aren't any actual dates on it, just ideas of what it is that they're going to be doing through the next iterative patches that they make. The reality is it's likely at least a year out before we're going to see any real considerable change with the Unity 2021 edition moving into the addition of another branch or section of Streets of Tarkov. And while, of course, all of us sitting in the streamer seat at the very least would love to be able to keep sucking on the hopium that BSG will inevitably, finally, hopefully one day get this right. The belief now, especially that we're in 2023, is by the time that they actually get this thing to perform in a way that doesn't feel awful, is likely going to be years away. And now, thanks to an announcement from the WHO, there's no longer the excuse of being able to fall back on COVID anymore. I guess my real big question is, where's the progress? And yes, I realize, for those of you that have stuck around to the end of this video, the ultimate response from the people that are on the BSG side of things will respond to this and say, they're working on it. Just gotta wait a little bit longer. Give them a chance. You don't need to rake them over the coals. Meanwhile, the people that have written BSG off will end up responding to it in this section of the video by saying that BSG will never make good on their promise, while I sit somewhere in between, frustrated but hopeful. And in the meantime, I suppose we'll just go play other things that are probably equally as janky, probably equally as bug-ridden, but at least newer, so that it'll be a little bit more fun in the discovery. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one. For more news and information surrounding shooting games and survival games especially, please consider subbing the channel. It really does matter. For those of you interested in following any of the larger research projects that I'm working on, I do have a Patreon now at $3 a month that you can join at patreon.com/real_onepeg. Please come by and check that out if you would be so kind. And as always, I stream about every day from 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/onepeg. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.